here, I would love to ask, what type of wins we have had this past week. I know one of my clients, we celebrated with them today. They're called Garden Diva. They do custom metal art. I don't know how many of us here do custom metal art. How many of us even know what custom metal art is?
I didn't before this job, Nicole.
Yeah. So they do garden poles, they do wind chimes, benches, just a bunch of random, pretty much anything metal, they can build it. And February is historically their slowest month of the year. We're coming off the holidays. People are gearing up for summer. They're just not looking to spend a ton of money. It's tax season, haven't gotten the returns yet. But this year, this February, they grew 221% in revenue over last year's February.
Wow!
Huge win for a rather odd business who sells wind chimes and garden poles. But I'd love to hear if anybody else here has a win of the week. Jeff, if you've got one, putting you on a spot here, or Aji, we got a win, or
I got a win. I'm sorry, I jump in, cutting everybody off here.
no.
Okay. I met with Bryce yesterday, was it right, Bryce? We were talking about it. And for so far, we just finished February and we're already we're at 50% of what we made last year, just in 2 months this year. And
oh, come on.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
And the help that you guys have brought with Google Locals and all this marketing part of the help that you guys provide started showing now, only 2 weeks after we went live with local. What is it? What was the local ads?
Local services.
Local services. 2 weeks into it, and we've gotten over 25 leads already.
Oh.
And already visited a few of them to provide estimates. So hopefully they'll turn into contracts and keep moving forward. So that's my win for this week.
Woo! That is a huge
awesome.
win. That is incredible. No pressure following that up. Anybody?
So I've got some client wins, and they unfortunately couldn't be here today. But Mike Bolte, who's been on a number of our calls, our group calls of Lakeshore Plumbing, and then Affordable Building Concepts. These guys have been clients. I think Mike has been, this is like year 4 that he's been a Redmond Growth client. And I think Mike Mathis, both named Mike, is year 3. And both these guys had their best year ever last year. And this year, January and February, they're up. Mike is up 40%. In terms of overall volume, and Mike Mathis at Affordable Building Concepts up 37%. Mike has a $2 million plumbing company, so that kind of increase is big. And then Mike of Affordable Building Concepts, he has a $5 million kind of backyard remodeling, does a lot of barns and pergolas and pool houses and garages. He's at $5 million, and they're already up 40% just in these first 2 months, which can traditionally be slower months right after the holidays. So anyway, it just goes to show you guys that, Robert Redmond, my last name's Redmond. I'm always going to be selling my own product. It just goes to show you that your business will just always perform better if you have a third party person holding you accountable to the stuff that you probably already know. The stuff that we teach is a lot of times it's maybe stuff you've heard before or read somewhere, stuff you've already learned, but it holds you accountable to getting the stuff done that needs to be done and keeps you focused to be performing your best. And so anyway, I just love hearing client wins from people who've been with us for years.
All right. Any other wins that we got going on here? Jeff, I did see you unmute for a second there. I don't know if You got shy on me, but
Yeah, we hired somebody this week that we've been really searching a long time for, so it was really good to pull him in. Yeah.
that is incredible. I would say, and I can definitely speak for my clients, I would say at least 80% of them are hiring right now. And
Right.
I think that most of the coaches here could say the same thing, that it's a little bit of a tough market right now. And so congratulations, that's huge, and probably is relieving a lot of stress knowing that you've got that guy on board.
Yeah, I'm getting more sleep at night.
I bet.
Yay!
Awesome. Awesome, guys. My win of the week is it's 80 degrees here. It's gorgeous here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was snow on the ground last week. This week is just gorgeous out. And so that's our win here in Tulsa. But I'm going to hand everything over to Harley. He's going to be teaching us the power of leveraging your online reputation, really capitalizing on that. When we first start working with people, I feel like when I ask them, what makes you unique, I typically get things like, well, we're family owned, or we care about our customers, and or we're local. And it's like, well, a lot of people say that. Most of them say that. And so let's really put our best foot forward. And so Harley's going to lead us through that here. Harley, take it away.
Yeah. Well, I think you're still sharing the screen, right?
Yep, I'm getting ready to. Should be all yours.
All righty, great.
Good to see you, Roger Patterson. He's joining us from the truck. I think that's pretty cool. Roger Patterson of Rogers Plumbing down there in Austin, Texas.
He's a dedicated man.
Well, good. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, glad to see y'all out here for the group call. And no, I will not talk in a country accent the whole time. Sorry. Yeah, right now we're going to talk about a very important topic about leveraging your reputation. And if you're at a spot where you can take notes, please do. I'm sure there's going to be some great stuff we're going to talk about. But when I thought about how to talk about leveraging reputation, the first thing that comes to mind is that we all have a reputation. Whether we realize it or not, it's, everyone has a reputation, whether we're trying or not. And, we can be busy and chaotic with our work and not really thinking about, what are we doing with our marketing? What are we doing to get ourselves out there? But, the reputation starts with your quality of work and word of mouth. There's a lot of guys that come to us where they are super busy and they haven't done anything with their marketing. But then we also think about, leveraging the reputation. Well, that means we're trying to do something about it to make sure we're taking advantage of the good work that we do, so the business works to support us and our goals versus us working in the business, being a slave to the business. And what everyone wants is to have a good reputation. Walt Disney put it real well with this quote here, where he talks about do what you do so well that they want to see it again and bring their friends. So if you're doing your work well enough where you get a lot of referrals and a lot of people sharing your name just organically, know that you're doing a good job and you're on the right track. But there's a guy that we, about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we saw this guy at a conference named Michael Levine. And this guy, he's written quite a few books, but he made his name as a public relations guy, a PR consultant, where he managed some of the biggest names out there in entertainment. People like Michael Jackson, Barbra Streisand, and 34 Grammy Award-winning artists. And in this talk that he gave at a conference, he talked to us about 4 tiers of pricing yourself, or what we could think about as 4 ways of leveraging your reputation, how to leverage it over time. And I think it's good for us to think about this because we all started from square one. We all started as a guy working in a job or, started in our business, and look, we're just trying to get work. trying to get anybody willing to work with us and trust us. And so what Levine talked about is you start off free or just surviving, and then your competitor, they've been there for a while, so they're at $10, let's say. And then you get some reps, you get better and better, and people trust you a little more, so you can be more confident in what you charge, but you don't think you're right at that level of the top competitor yet. So you charge $5 and they're charging 10, but it's getting better. But then over time, you're at the point where he talked about where you get to the spot where you're just there, and probably even better, where you're right there along with the competition. It's heated, you're neck and neck, and you charge a little more and you continue to experiment. But then it's really fun when you get to a stage, and there's some of us here in this room where they get to the stage where they can charge as much as double or more what some of the other guys are doing in the area, just because their reputation is so good. I was talking to a plumbing company today, R&A Plumbing over in Tennessee, and they've always told me that their plate is always full. But as a plumbing company, it's really weird to have your schedule full for more than 2 weeks, and it's a consequence of them wanting to steadily grow, and they're careful with bringing on people. But she also, Misty is the business owner's name. She also tells me that, people are willing to wait for a week or two to have them come out as a plumber, which is insane to think about. But, for those customers, they think, man, this is out in country Tennessee area, and they are by far the best person to choose. So I'm willing to wait a week or two for a plumber. And so what the mystery might be for you guys is that a lot of you guys really are great at what you do. You've been doing this for a long time, and you've had this company for a while even. And you know that you're really good. You know that when you work with customers and you're out there, you can sell anything and you can execute anything for the work. But the issue is we've been at a point where we're running on a low battery, and we're always feeling like we're spinning our wheels, and it doesn't feel like the business is as fun anymore as it used to, or we're not getting the value that we think we should get. You might ask yourself, why does no one know about me? If you're having trouble getting work in the door, why are we having trouble? Because I know I'm good. Why is my name not getting out there? Or, why can't I find quality employees? This is another side to it. You might be really good at your craft, but, there's a lot of companies out there. Like, I was just hearing from Robert today about a better plumber, where he's supporting a better plumber, supporting 20 service trucks consistently with 20 guys as a plumber. And there's some of us plumbers that are just struggling to keep 1 or 2 techs consistently. And so why can't we find quality employees, and why don't quality employees want to work with us if we're so good at what we do? And then, how are we also barely profitable? We feel like the customers are complaining so much about prices, but we know that at the end of the day, when we look at the numbers, if we're looking at the numbers, but when we look at the numbers, we're barely making it. We feel like we're scraping by. And then, what? And then after all this, why does it seem like some other guy out there that is seemingly killing it, has a lot of people, is doing that? Because a lot of times we talk to business owners and tell them about someone that's ranking well, or someone that has worked to get reviews. They tell us, oh, that guy is a chump. I don't even understand how they have that many reviews. Well, that's not the point. The point is that they've got a lot of reviews. They're getting a lot of business, and you're not. So the point here is that we have to look as awesome as possible. And what Bryce, one of our great coaches here, is going to talk about after I'm done yapping, is he's going to talk about the value of reviews, which I know many of you have already heard of reviews, heard us hounding about it, and to be true. But there's a lot of us where we've gotten casual with reviews, or We just haven't figured out a good system for it. So before you leave today, you'll have a good system. But part of this is part of the reviews is helping you to look as awesome as possible. So your price, if you want to look as awesome as possible, your price should represent what a top tier contractor is in your area. And if you're not pricing yourself at top dollar, why is that? Why can't the customer be convinced that you should be priced as a top competitor? Your people should be as great as possible to deliver great service. And if you're not as confident about your people, do we need to invest more time in training? Do we need to have our job posts be more aggressive? Do we need to do what we have to do to get the good guys so that our people can be great, so that we can price out our work well enough? Your sales presentation and process needs to be a no-brainer for customers. I mean, after customers talk with you on the phone and after they meet with you, it should be just, oh, yeah, this price is high, but you guys are freaking awesome. I mean, you show up on time, you have a great presentation, just every area about you says, oh my gosh, this is great. And part of that too is your branding and online reputation. That's where the reviews come in. But we work with our guys and many of you about setting every angle up online so that even before a customer talks to you, they think, man, these people have their crap together. And you're just more awesome than anyone else. And so if we're going over these details and you're questioning yourself in any area of the business about how your reputation looks and whether or not you're leveraging yourself better, just take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, why not? Why can't I charge myself higher? What can we do in order to make an impact here? Because as much as we can complain about the economy, as much as we can complain about us being in a small town area, there's a lot of people and a lot of necks of the woods that they're killing it in business, and they've figured something out. And that's for you to work on exclusively with the coach, but that's also for you to ask about here in these group calls about how you can really leverage your reputation better.
And anybody here testify to the power of Google reviews? Like, at what point with your Google reviews were you like, okay, people are calling and like they're sold before they even speak to us? Ryan?
And Bob, he's on my lower part of the screen right here for me, but we don't answer the phones day to day, but sometimes we do, and we hear it constantly is, well, man, you've got 300, most of our competitors have 5, 6 reviews. Actually, if I don't know if Rudy's on here or not, but we actually have
I'm here.
He put together a QR code for us that our customers that we go see, they can scan, and it shows that you put all of our competition together. They're under like 14 reviews altogether, and we're total just in Little Rock we're 302 or something, but then company wide we've got several locations, but company wide, we put them all together, we make everybody look like idiots. And it is a big payoff because people call and they're like, well, man, we called you because we saw your reviews. It's a no-brainer in all honesty.
Yeah, you're the clear choice, and they're not going to really care what you're charging because it's clear that you offer the premium service. Why would I use anybody else?
That's right. Something that
awesome.
I remember from early days over and over again is people are willing to pay premium pricing for premium service. They don't want the headache. And when you have credibility from people that, and we'll talk more about this here in a second as we get into some reviews, but yeah, I just can't help but get engaged in this because there's some people that are on this call that, you maybe been here with us for a while. You've heard us talk about reviews so much, and you want to drive out to Tulsa and put your coach in a headlock for having brought it up so many times. But we wouldn't be talking about this if it wasn't so important. And Ryan, your testament is immediately clear, why that matters. So that's huge.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing it.
Yeah. And so Bryce is going to get much deeper into the whole process of asking for reviews. But are there any of you here on the call, maybe some newer guys like Musa and Ezer that I work with, or maybe some of the senior people, where you've got questions about, hey, how can I improve my reputation? Or I know this to be a weak spot. What are some of the first steps I could do?
Oh, we're all feeling great about it. We're all going to have over 100 reviews by
Harley,
next
do you
week,
want to ask
right?
that question again? Can you ask that question again, Harley?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure to ask if anybody's struggling in an area of their business where they don't feel like they have a high enough price, or they're not keeping quality guys. I would love the opportunity to hear about it so that we could get it solved today, or you have the first steps today in solving it.
I have something to say real quick. Last year or the year before that, we were struggling a little bit trying to get contracts. I'm a state licensed general contractor in the state of Georgia, and right now construction is booming here in Atlanta, and there's a lot of LLC contractors that are not licensed, and they're underbidding everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you.
They were underbidding all my jobs. They were going much lower work and all that. And then we got to the point right now last year where we were putting our names out there. I started using one of my signs in front of every house that we were remodeling, and we started getting reputation with architects that we work with their clients, and they started referring us by word of mouth. And right now I feel that we're at a point that our reputation is strong enough that we have clients that we haven't even signed contract with, that we have verbal agreements to move forward with the project once they're done doing their due diligence on their part. So they come and tell me, hey, Felipe, we want to do the work with you. We want to move forward with you because of what we've seen in social media posts of the work we do. And now with all this Google reviews, it has helped us a lot as well, because they do mention that they've gone on Google and seen our reviews, and it's helped out with the reputation to the point that they're willing to commit to us without even signing a contract yet.
So you're no longer having to like compete with these handymen, these people who, don't have a license but are trying to put bids in for the same amount of work.
Right. And I'm sticking to my guns as far as my pricing goes.
As you should.
I have a profit, and I just decided to not lower my price anymore. I'm like, I know you're gonna find somebody else there cheaper, but with us, you're gonna get quality. I'm not gonna hit you with change orders like a lot of bidders do. And
Right.
And we're at a point that I feel comfortable submitting my proposals at the profit margins that we work with,
Because you have
and
the
clients,
reputation.
because
to
of the
stand behind
reputation
it.
that we exactly.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well,
Nice, Felipe.
On that
Yeah.
same note, Roger, could you share with me a little bit about what we just got done talking about and how this is affecting your recruiting? The GMB. Uh-oh. Gotta mute you, buddy. You're on mute, buddy. Help me out, partner.
Yeah, so as far as Google reviews, you're not only promoting your business to your clients, but you're hopefully promoting yourself to new recruits, potentially new employees to come into your business and to be able to help you grow. It really came evident this week. There was a gentleman that I interviewed with, and that was one of the first things he said was, yeah, I checked y'all out online. Y'all got great reviews. This is what really pushed me to move forward and give you a call and to come on in and do an interview with you. So it's all in all, it's reputation management twofold. It's not just your clients. It's the potential superstar that's just out there waiting for you to hire them. Yeah.
Nice. I've got all these stats and things to talk about why reviews are important, but this is the most important thing, is direct testament to what's happened and why it works. So I mean,
Well, Bryce, break it down for us, buddy.
Yeah.
Tangibly show us how
Thank
it's
you,
done.
Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. So, we've talked a lot about this already, and like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of guys here on this call that you've heard us beat this horse over and over. But with everything that we're doing for you guys, with all of these calls, we're not going to talk about something if it's not going to make serious difference in your business. And if you're new with us, which a lot of the people on this call I know are, if you're new with us or if you've been with us for a while, both of those groups are exactly the people that need to hear this. Because you've heard the testimony of what difference it makes, not only for getting leads, but for getting people to help you serve those leads. So for us at Redmond Growth, the other third thing we haven't yet talked about related to all of this is what reviews do is it makes what you already know about yourself and your business and what everybody in your circle knows about you and your business, and it makes that reputation public. You guys have been working for years, maybe even decades, building a solid foundation where people trust your word, you do quality work. Redmond Growth, we've talked about this before too. We've just happened to get really solid people on board with us. I would say, and other coaches can testify to this, we rarely get people that have subpar quality of work. And if they do, we can work through that. But we just have, by default, happen to get really solid people on board. And so we want to take your reputation and make that public, bring that to the forefront. It's not going in the face of humility to do something like that. And so in that vein, I'm not trying to shove this down anybody's throat, but we talk about Proverbs 27:2 marketing a lot. And I think it is really just puts this into a very clear perspective. With reviews, with testimonials, and everything like this, we're following a biblical principle which says that, let someone else praise you, not your own mouth, an outsider, and not your own lips. Straight from the Bible. That is God's word. And it's so true. When you have your reputation being told to somebody by somebody other than you, it makes all the difference in the world. So I've got some stats here. I'm going to give you some numbers down your throat. But this is important, and you guys already know the testament behind it, so I won't belabor the point. But the very first thing is, guys, your brand is the most valuable asset you own. Some of you may have bought. Have any of you tried to buy or sell a business before? Have you thought about even selling your own business? Has anybody done that? Gone through that process? Okay, maybe a couple. So a lot of the value comes from, one, your assets, obviously. Two, your customer base, if it's an engaged customer base. And then three, it's your branding. And that's where most of the value is kind of fluctuates based on what you've done with it. Does your name have credibility locally, even a little bit further than locally? So your brand is the most valuable asset you own. And this is building that even further in a way that's transmutable to somebody else if you were to sell your business or anything like that. Now, an important stat that I think all of you really need to know is that 90% of customers think reviews are more important than any other information provided by a salesperson. It has to come from someone other than you. People already may say these things. If you're mainly getting your work by word of mouth, is what we hear a lot when people start with us. You're harnessing the power of word of mouth and gaining control of that in your business whenever you target for reviews in a place that matter. And so this stat just really clearly just demonstrates 90% of people want to hear it from somebody other than you. That's what they can trust. A big thing that is important, I mentioned this last time that I was speaking in the call too. If you have the hesitation sometimes and the things that we present and talk about and saying, I don't really see a whole lot of people doing this. I've never really heard a whole lot of focus on this. That's exactly why you should do it, right? There's a stat that you're reading now. More than half of businesses are not making a point of getting customer reviews, but almost every single customer relies on a review to decide if they're going to use that service or not. Even further, 75% of customers say that they're willing to leave a review, yet only 13% of business owners ask. And we talk about setting yourself apart. This is an incredible way to set yourself apart. I think about exactly what Ryan shared earlier. All of the other guys in their area, all of their competitors, 14 reviews collectively. Some of you guys have done that in a week, right? When we first started, that's one of the first action items we put out there, you know, and that's made a huge difference. They stand far and away from the other guys. Here's an important figure too. 84% of customers trust online reviews just as much as a personal referral. I mentioned this, a lot of you may have heard, you know, similar stuff to this before, but when I was saying it's important for it to come from somebody other than you, those two things kind of go hand in hand here. And then guys, it literally impacts your SEO related to Google. And there's a link right there that I'm not going to open right now, but you can go and it's literally Google's support page. And it says your Google reviews impact your SEO ranking for your website, if you're running any ads with Google, and also obviously for your organic ranking with your business listing. And just an important thing to mention, if we haven't already, why we focus on Google is because you're getting the most bang for your buck, right? 90% of the searches done in the world are done on Google, according to Business Insider. That's an insane margin of the industry. So those are the stats, but I want to ask you guys, looking at this here, who would you choose? I took a screenshot, just looked up some general contractors in San Antonio, and it doesn't seem like you guys are able to see my screen yet, but when it pops up here, hopefully you'll be able to see. I just took a screenshot looking up general contractors, and who would you choose if you see this list of people? Are you guys seeing my screen yet?
We see your screen. Oh, but not, I don't think the right page.
Well, sure.
There we are.
Oh, hey,
There we are.
Okay. Consider putting yourself in the shoes of a consumer. You know, some of you guys shout out, who would you choose? Looking at this list, where would you make your first call?
GMG.
That's right, Jonathan. No, but seriously, I mean, that's one of the things that, you know, we constantly want to do is challenge our thinking as business consultants for us, as business owners for you guys. Think about the way that you're being perceived by someone on the outside looking in. If you look up, you know, something that you want in your own city, you're going to pick the person that's got the most reviews, GMG. They've got the most reviews, the highest rating, and they've got over 10 years in business. I mean, these guys are the clear choice, even though they're ranked number 2. So that's my question to you there. But what about bad reviews? Obviously, it's important to keep your overall rating high. So when you get bad reviews, you guys probably may or may not get this. If you've ever heard of your kids or maybe somebody else talking about a Karen is the lady that always just says, I want to speak to your manager. That's how you and everybody perceive those people that just go online and blow people up.
Is there anyone named Karen on this call today? I see AG and her husband laughing. And so I'm like concerned, like, are they named Karen?
Uh-oh.
We know what we're talking about, right? Like a Karen, this is like the tattletale mom, you know, the sheriff mom. Anyway, go ahead, Bryce.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I didn't offend anybody. I didn't know if there's a Karen here, but these are the kind of people, this is how we see people that leave negative reviews almost all the time. It's just people that want to get upset about something that they oftentimes have no business getting that upset about. It just blows way out of proportion. They're looking like a fool online, and that's how we perceive it. But we still want to protect our reputation as much as possible. So there's a couple of steps here I'm going to line out about, you know, responding to bad reviews, how to manage that if we can. But first is just to check your records. And if you don't remember who that person is, you know, just try to get an idea if you don't immediately know. And we want to try to reach out to them directly, offline, to fix the situation if at all possible, right? That's obviously the first steps here. And then if they can change their review because your reputation is important, that's obviously the goal. We want to see if we can change it, or have them change it rather. If that person is particularly ridiculous, they're just, or it's a special situation, but they're just irate, they will not be calmed down about the situation. In fact, you reaching out has made them even more upset and they want to make their review even worse. Well, that's fine. They can do that. They're just going to make themselves look more like the Karens of the world. And so we want to respond online publicly in a way that's overtly and overly apologetic. And at the very end of that review, just put your contact info on there as the business owner and your name there too. Say, hey, Felipe Hurtado here with E&E Construction Co. Wanted to make sure that if there's any way that we can resolve the situation, sorry you had this experience, here's my number, please call me directly and we'll get this resolved.
Has anybody who we have here today, has anybody had the experience where they maybe even lost sleep over a bad review? Like, has anybody here, just show of hands, shaking of heads, nodding of heads? I know I talked to a client last week that was just, so upset about this negative review. And then when I go and look at it, this person had used, it was a huge paragraph, used no commas, no capitalization, used no periods. It just was one long run-on sentence that just made no sense. And one thing that we really emphasize here is, yes, we want to avoid bad reviews. That's why we want you to come through your customer list. That's why we don't want you, posting on Facebook, please leave me a review, because you don't know who you're going to get. But it's so important not to lose sleep. Don't get emotional about bad reviews. Why? Because the Karens in the world exist. They do. And there's very little that you can do sometimes to prevent that. And so we want to keep our reputation as strong as possible. If you ever do get a bad review, the way Bryce is telling you to handle it is textbook, and then just bury that puppy with good reviews and go have a good night of sleep. Don't be losing sleep over those negative reviews. Yeah, no, great. I appreciate you bringing that in, Nicole. So I would even say, that's something I didn't think about, but not losing sleep over it, but even considering it as a help to you. There's a guy that I've been working with, Clear Creek Plumbing and Gas. They have a couple of reviews, over 100, no big deal, but they've been berated by this one guy that gave them one negative review. It was real bad. Owner responded in an apologetic way. Has literally had people since, when they talk to him, say, hey, I saw that negative review you got. The way you responded is why I'm reaching out. So it can be a strength to you even in the way that we talk about doing this.
And that, Bryce, that brings them back to building their reputation. Reputation comes in all forms, even in responding to how you approach a bad review or approach a mistake with a job. That can win you jobs. And how you respond to a mistake or respond to something negative. Yeah,
you're right. So then at the end of the day, guys, everybody asks about the Google review reporting process. You can go and try to dispute a review, but obviously Google is going to be really hesitant to take any negative reviews down, because that's honest feedback. They see that, right, as supposed to be honest feedback on a business. So always worth a shot, but it's unlikely that it's going to be removed, but that's okay. If it doesn't get removed, it can still be even a benefit to you. And that's really it. It's nothing to freak out about. Bad reviews happen. Everybody gets one at some point in time, but we bury it in positive reviews. Like Nicole said, we try to resolve it like we've laid out here, and we move on. And then the last thing here, before we start getting into the do it now, and this is essentially that section anyways, an important stat I want to share with you is new reviews are important. And this is for the guys that have been around doing this for a while, may have already gotten a ton of reviews. Consistently getting new reviews is important. 73% of customers, 3/4 almost, think that reviews older than 3 months are irrelevant. So we want to consistently get on there, and Google recognizes that too. It's part of their ranking factor situation. Now, the other part is that we want to make this a part of your sales process, and I want you to kiss with your employees. Hopefully, you're still listening.
Hold on.
No, I'm not telling you to smooch them on the lips. Keep it simple, stupid. We want to make the process as easy as possible. That's what I mean by we want to make it kissing. Make it as easy as possible. Incorporate getting reviews into your workflow with your guys. That way you don't have to catch up and follow up on stuff later. It becomes more things that you're putting on your plate as an owner that you don't need to be owning. All we have to do in getting that is send your technicians, the guys that are out in the field, the link that comes directly to your business listing. If you don't have that, we can walk you through that. Your coach can walk you through that, or just send them a text. Say, hey, can you send me that link again? And we'll get it to you in a couple of minutes. And that's going to be an important, super easy, powerful tool to help you get people to your business listing, to leave you reviews as quick as possible. And the reason we want to keep it as quick as possible, this is a silly little graphic, but it's a simple concept. And that's why it doesn't need a lot of bells and whistles. We do it as soon as we can before we leave the job site as much as possible, because the further away you get from the job being complete, the less excited the person is, the less they're going to care, the less likely that they are to leave you a review. And that's where we get into stuff like email campaigns, but that's just a part of it. So doing it as soon as possible, I would even say have your team do it at the same time as collecting payment. And I would treat it with that same kind of intentionality. Say it's just as important to get paid by these customers as it is to get a review from them. Because when you get a review from the job that you've done, that's going to generate more traction for you online, generate more leads for you in the future. This snowball builds on itself. You can see the effect. The more reviews you have, the more leads you get, the more leads you get, the more opportunities you have to get reviews, and it builds and builds and builds on itself. It makes this kind of exponential deal. And you guys get, like the Surface Renew guys, 300 reviews compared to the 14 of everybody else. It builds. And this is kind of the mentality that we go by in general with a lot of the things that we talk about, guys. And this is my last point before we get into the doing it now things. But operators fix problems. That's what you've hired your technicians to do. They fix problems. Something comes up, they fix it. Owners create a process so that the right steps happen automatically by default. Operators fix problems. An owner mindset is to, how do I make this so that it doesn't happen again? And that's why I want to make it part of your sales process, so that this is just a part of your workflow. So I'll step off my soapbox here, but we want to do this now, guys. We don't want to just talk about what we do. If we, some of you have heard this quote before, but I'm going to say it again because it's so important. Thomas Edison, don't know if you've ever heard of the guy, a little bit important, invented the light bulb, some other things too, but he said that vision without execution is hallucination. Vision without execution is hallucination. So let's do it. So we want to do 3 things right now. And I mean it, that we want to do it right now together. So first thing is get the link from your Google business listing if you know how, or have your coach send it to you, and then send it to your team members. It's that simple to get them equipped to where they can send it to the customers. So text your coach. If you're on the call, text your coach, ask for the link if you don't already have it. Second thing, we want to communicate to your team. It's a part of the process to be done before they leave the job site every single time, and give them the link that we just got in the first step. Part of the process now, as simple as that. And then something we want to do for more of a long-term strategy here. If you haven't sent a customer email list to your coach in a while, do that today. Put together a new customer email list so that we can run an email campaign for you. And that is going to produce some consistent reviews too. If you haven't been doing this so far, that's okay. We can catch up on that. And we don't want to put more tasks on your plate to keep you busy. We want to come alongside and help you do this. And that's the 3 things. I do have a bonus challenge for those that are on it. Even you guys that have been doing it for a while, even you guys with hundreds and hundreds of reviews already. This may sound familiar, but this week, Here's your bonus challenge. Get 10 new reviews. And let's get after it, guys. And that's my piece.
Awesome. Well, I want to open up the floor to everybody here. We've got a big group here today. We've got a couple minutes, about 10 minutes left here on this call. Would love for anybody who's willing to speak up. You can always, type a question in the chat if that's easier. If there's a, chainsaw going on behind you, if you're at the job site and it's easier to type it, do it. But we want to leave these last couple minutes of our meeting here to answer any questions that you guys have, even if it's not about what we covered today. We want this to be an opportunity for you to get questions answered by either, your coach, one of the other coaches, or a client. So if anybody's got something on their heart, on their mind, just speak up or type it in the chat and we'll get it addressed. Yes, Jeff.
Hey, so what is a good way to get video reviews? Because I find a lot of people just don't like being on camera.
Yes, people typically don't.
Yeah, so I struggle with that. No one wants to do that.
Yeah, so there's a few things. First, addressing the elephant in the room of when you go to ask, like, that's the first thing is like, hey, I know that I don't love being on camera. Nobody really loves it, but it really helps me out. If I could just get a 10-15 second video from you, we can just do it right here. It's super casual. It's just going to go on one page of my site, but it's really going to help future customers to be able to see that and hear from a past customer who's used me and what their experience was. I've got my phone right here. It's only going to take about 30 seconds. Really basic questions. Could I just get that from you? Oh, sure. If you address the elephant in the room, you make it pretty casual. You let them know it's not a big deal. It's just going to be a couple seconds. Typically, people are going to be a little bit more open to that.
Okay.
Off of their final invoice.
Say that again, Felipe.
Offer them some change back, credited back to the final invoice. $50 for $100.
Yes, incentivizing them is a great way to do it too.
Especially if you make it a funny line, like I'll tell my guys that if you do the video review or whatever, I'll take off whatever amount in order to fund your burrito fund. Just something a little comical to help out, break the ice.
I think the more normal you treat it, the more normal people are going to receive it, because it is unusual. But if you come in and say, hey, just want to do this real quick, super quick, it's not going to be a big ordeal. It's on my phone and this is what it's for, just like Nicole said. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions? Jeff, anything else? Anybody? We're all feeling pretty good.
The basic idea here, guys, is that we preach heavily, and you guys all know that your Google business listing and Google review acquisition is for contractors the single most important piece of your marketing by far for lead generation. Okay, we all know this. A lot of you guys have begun to experience this. Why is it so important? Well, because if you make it in the 3-pack and you're in there for keywords with high traffic search volume, then literally hundreds of people are now coming to your website, calling your phone for free. You're not paying for those leads. So within the first few months of doing our Google business optimization and helping our clients get reviews through our email campaign, we've seen clients that have used Home Advisor, have used Thumbtack, some of these third-party lead generation sources for years, no longer have to use that in 3 months. So we know that power. But there's this other, what Bryce was really, and Harley were really emphasizing, and what I just got done talking to Roger about 2 hours ago in our meeting, was that there's this other untapped power that most people don't realize in your Google business listing. And that's the power of your reputation and how that can affect your sales and how that can affect your recruiting and how that can really just strengthen the value of your brand significantly. So it's like a lead generation thing, yes, but there's this whole other element to it to where it's really hard to say no to a bid It's really hard to say no to an estimate. It's really hard to say no whenever you tell the customer transparently, have you checked out our Google reviews? No, well, don't take my word for it. Just see what other people are saying. We literally have not disappointed any customers. If you've gotten a negative review, it's like they said, let's try to fix it. But even with that, it's like, hey, we have 300, 400 5-star reviews from other people just like you here in your town, which means if we can serve 300 to 400 other people with 5-star service, we're confident that we can give that to you today. Most people don't talk about their Google reviews in the sales process, but that's an untapped resource that will do the convincing and trusting work for you. So you don't have to worry about persuading people. You say, just look what people are saying. You're looking for a contractor you can trust. Look at the 200, 350 other people that have already had a 5-star experience with us. If we've done it for those people, you're going to get that kind of experience with us today. Then whenever you're recruiting top talent, hey, have you been able to see our reviews? Well, we really do things differently. Like we provide a high quality service. So that's the idea. It's lead generation, but your reputation, you make your sales easier, make it easier to recruit people, and really make your business a heck of a lot more valuable in terms of dollars and cents. It's not just this perceived value concept. It's that you can sell your business for a lot more money. Each of you on this phone call have this awesome retirement plan. It's called your business. And one day you can sell that thing, and you can sell that thing for hundreds of thousands of dollars more, millions of dollars of more, with a #1 business listing, with a business listing that stands out. So anyway, I just want to make sure that we summarize this and really emphasize, brought home the concept.
Yes.
I got Bryce's whip. So he brought in a whip into the office today instead of a lasso. I got the lasso, Bryce got the whip. And so Bryce, you did a good job, buddy. No lashings. I don't know. Is that safe to joke like that? Is that too politically incorrect?
You can't get a man with his own weapon. You can't. That's just disrespectful on top of the insult to injury.
Listen, buddy, there's only one sheriff in this office, my friend.
Oh gosh.
And I make the law.
Look, this town ain't big enough for the both of y'all, right?
It is. Luckily, because he did a good job, it is now big enough for both of us. Speaking
of Bryce, typically we close down this meeting with a big old growth.
Nicole's got it.
Today we're going to do something different. I need everybody to unmute. It is Bryce's birthday today.
Oh.
It is his
Bryce.
birthday.
Yeehaw!
Growth. And Bryce, I was going to ask everybody to sing happy birthday. I was.
wow.
I thought that might be too much for you.
Yeah, I'm glad we don't have time for it.
On the count of 3, I want us all to say happy birthday, Bryce, and we'll close this out on a high note.
Yes.
Oh my God.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday,
Bryce!
All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your week. If you have any questions, need anything, you reach out to us, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, bye, guys.
Bye-bye.